Listen, until times have changed, but not that much, and that's just me trying to come up with this mysterious, elusive intro. Man, don't nobody care about that. What's going on? It is currently 94 degrees, a very hot day in Miami, Monday. It's 11:07, so we're gonna say afternoon. I know that's not afternoon yet, but that's what we're gonna call it. I didn't leave the house yesterday, man. I was in one of my moods, my introverted moods, man, my loner moods, man. I don't know if some of you guys get it, man. I have more in common with Bryan than I do with the rest of the world as it pertains to being an introvert. I don't want to say a lot here because I just want to give you this little short video I made last night at home, and then maybe a video I made before that, all concerning his alibi and my thoughts on it, man. But let me tell you, there's this world where you can't just accuse a man or a woman, anybody, of a crime, especially a horrendous crime, but then not be expected to absolutely prove that they are guilty of it. That's why our legal system, our justice system is set up how it is, beyond a reasonable doubt. You can't just accuse people of things and not be able to substantiate the fact that they're guilty. That's just how it works. In this case, very early on, even though we're coming up on a year, we're nowhere near a courtroom. I personally, I don't think, I'm no litigation expert. I don't think the trial is gonna start in October. I don't know, I could be wrong. But we're early and we haven't seen as much as either side, the case that they will present as we will. But right now, the prosecution hasn't even come close to proving that Bryan committed these crimes. That's just the reality of the thing, guys. And that's one world. But there's also a world where you can't just expect, I want to say this the right way without stumbling. Just because someone can't prove that you committed a crime doesn't mean you didn't do it. We all know these cases where people committed crimes, and damn it, all of the evidence says they did, but they got off, right? And I'm not talking about they got off like the young lady who murdered her father and then only got a year's sentence and didn't serve a day of that sentence. I'm not talking about the recently released news of the young lady who lured a man to a hotel room to have sex, and then when he got there, she stabbed this man twice in his neck trying to kill him. In her mind, it was for vengeance for crimes against her country or something. But then she went to court and she only got 3 years probation for that. I'm not talking about getting off like that. I'm talking about being found not guilty of the crime. That doesn't mean you didn't commit the crime. So legally and morally, we don't want anybody in prison, accused, convicted, arrested, etc., for crimes that they didn't commit. But also morally, I personally can say I don't want people getting away with crimes that they did commit just because it can't be proven that they didn't commit the crimes. I'm sorry, that they did commit the crimes. That doesn't work for me, guys. So legally, don't get it twisted. I'm on the side of they haven't come close. How many times do I have to say this to proving their case, the prosecution? But morally, there are some fair questions that Bryan needs to answer for me. You're out driving, sir. I have more in common with you than I do with the rest of the world, sir. I drive all of the time. I'm about to head to Savannah. I would do it most probably at the spur of the moment. I would do it in the middle of the night. I will tell absolutely no one about it. The trip will take anywhere from 6 to 8 hours minimum, the way I drive. I can make at least 75 to 80% of that trip without stopping once or talking to anybody. I didn't speak to a single soul yesterday until late at night when my friend texted me to say, hey man, I'm flying back home. She was on a vacation with her family. No, I didn't see anybody. Not a single soul saw me. No one could substantiate, corroborate where I was all day. So I get all of those things. I 100% get all of those things. But normally and naturally, sir, when I'm going to Savannah on that 6 to 8 hour drive, I stop multiple times. I stop to use the restroom. I stop to get treats, even though I bring treats and snacks with me when I leave my house. So and the biggest thing is my phone is on all of the time. I make sure my phone doesn't die because I'm listening to things. I'm listening to true crime. I'm listening to music. So you're going to be able to get my location. There are about 2 dead areas there. They last for about 15 to 20 minutes, 30 sometimes. So all of those things are fair questions for this man. Nobody's still saying, hey, he's guilty because we're asking fair questions. Nobody's saying he's guilty because I'm saying, hey, man, I would feel better about you being innocent if you had a verifiable alibi. That doesn't make you guilty. That just says, hey, man, if these were my children and you were arrested for the crime, I would want to know you didn't do it, sir, even if the prosecution can't prove it. Let's get to this video I made last night, guys. All right, innocent until, man. Ironically, I am making this video from the house right after I told y'all that I never can make videos from the house. So it's gonna be quick, I'm telling you, because I'm really not even in the mood. But I had a thought, man, and I want to know what you guys think about it, man. I'm analyzing, the case and, watching what people are saying on YouTube and Twitter. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm supposing here, obviously I don't have any proof for this. This is just my supposition. Like, we're thinking about the tunnels and, shout out to the young lady who's saying maybe the murders weren't committed at the, Kings Road house. I don't think Bryan has a verifiable alibi for that night, guys. You know what I mean? And no matter how you feel about that, I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Sir, 4 people were murdered. You're accused of it. We do need to know where you were at that night, sir. We need to be able to verify where you were at that night. Now, I think what Ann Taylor's alibi defense is going to be, and I stress think, I have no way of knowing this. I have no way of knowing that he doesn't have a verifiable alibi for that night. But I think what her alibi defense is going to be, hey, prosecution, you have experts to say one thing. I have experts to say another thing. Now, phone pings are approximate, not exact. Your experts are saying that his phone pings prove he was in the area, but you've already admitted that your information has been wrong once. My experts are saying that his phone pings were insert anywhere but at the crime scene. So ultimately, it just leaves it on the prosecution, as it should be, those who are making the accusations, to prove that he was at the crime scene, because if he wasn't there, then he couldn't have committed the crimes, right? So I think that's going to be like a counseling out thing. From what I'm gathering, it seems like she may be setting it up just to say my experts versus your experts, and your experts have already admitted that the information that they went over and been given, was not correct. I mean, basically they're saying that one night, I did read the PCA, guys. I'm telling you, I was very disappointed because I feel like I wasted my time. It was what I thought it would be. It was unsubstantiated accusations, no matter what. But anyway, let me get back to this. The prosecution, the detectives have already admitted that there was one time that the phone pings were saying one thing, but they believe or can verify that Bryan was in another location than the phone pings were indicating. So the prosecution is doing a lot to draw their own case under the suspicion. While Ann Taylor's going to say, well, I have experts to say that Bryan was anywhere but the crime scene. And because phone pings are not exact, they're approximate and sometimes just wrong, according to the prosecution, how are you going to tell us that he wasn't anywhere but the crime scene unless you can absolutely prove it, right? It's just going to force the burden back on the prosecution to prove that Bryan was actually at the crime scene. I have no problem with that. They should. You're accusing this man of committing 4 murders. You should prove that he was there to do that. The only problem that I have with this, guys, is I don't think the prosecution at this point can prove he was at the crime scene. But that doesn't mean he's not the murderer. Let me say that again so you get it. I want justice here, man. I'm not on anybody's side, but the side is going to get us real justice that's actually going to make these communities in our world safe again. The prosecution not being able to prove that Bryan was at the crime scene does not mean he's the one that's responsible for these murders.
Does not mean he isn't. Of course, I meant to say he isn't.
Just like sometimes they put the wrong people in jail. We see that. I talk about that a lot. My channel is Innocent Until. Sometimes the right people get away. We know these cases. I don't have to specifically call any for you guys to know that this has happened before. So once again, I'm not saying Bryan is the murderer. I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just highlighting the fact that if Ann Taylor's argument is going to be not a specific alibi, but simply that my experts are saying this, your experts are saying that, and your experts have already proven that the information they got was bad before, so prove he was there, and the prosecution's response is, hey, we can't prove he was there, but we have circumstantial reasoning to believe that he was. That doesn't mean Bryan is not the person here. And I have a problem with that. It's not for me. I'm not going with, hey, they gotta prove that he did it. No, sir. You help us believe that you didn't do it too. Now, I'm not talking criminally here, because criminally the laws have been established and I'm on the side of the justice system. But I'm just saying morally, and for my mind to be at ease about that community or being safe and these people getting justice, sir, you need to convince me that you weren't there. Now, I still can't vote to convict you legally because the legal requirements have not been anywhere near met. But I still have some very serious questions, and you and your lawyer just saying, hey, they need to prove I was there, does not answer them for me. Let me know what you guys think about this. Once again, thank you for checking out the videos. I'm just going to drop this. No teasers, no spoilers, nothing. No premiere, no nothing. This is going out. I just want your thoughts on that, man. Are you convinced that Bryan isn't guilty based on the evidence? What do you think about it morally? And will them just not being able to prove that he was at the crime scene be enough for you to believe that he's not the one that committed these murders, or he's not somehow involved in this case? Innocent until